Hey, Dr. C here with you. Are you tired of the same old cooking oil? There's a cool new option, and it's algae. Algae oil is a great source of essential fats. It's got a high smoke point, pretty neutral flavor, and commonly available now in your health food stores. So that's a summary, and I'll talk a bit more details about this, but this is a newer product. And some background, so essential fats, we think about omega-3s and omega-6s. You'll also hear omega to reference omega-9s. Those are ones that are rather neutral, but they're not essential. Omega-3 and 6 are the two that we need that we cannot make. And that's alpha-linolenic acid and linoleic acid. Those are the two main versions. We've also got dietary saturated fats, which are non-essential, but some are harmless. And we think then about, with oils and fats, which ones of those they have, what kind of ratios they have. And for cooking oils, we also want to be aware of the smoking point. So oils that are not very heat stable are ones you would not want to saute with because they will quickly oxidize and make free radicals. And as a general concept, oils are always processed foods. Oils are always more processed than foods considered minimally processed, such as nuts and seeds, avocados, plant foods that have naturally occurring fats. Oils are refined by definition. So any oil type in general, don't make it the main source of your caloric intake by any means. Some of it is fine though, for cooking purposes especially. And you'll hear a lot about certain oils being helpful, certain being harmful. And in most cases, what they're looking at is substitution studies. So not so much did people get healthy because this oil was added in, but when this was given instead of something else. Like if one oil was instead of another oil, or if an oil was instead of a highly processed food. So substitutions are useful, but they're not things you want to go out of your way to add in massive amounts of. So just general thoughts about oils. An algae oil, so this is a vegan product, and this comes from a single manufacturer as of the time of this video. This is hybridized algae, so they're not genetically changed or whatnot, they're just bred. And this is a pressed for oil extraction. They're just pressed and squeezed. Now, this is highest in the monounsaturated fatty acids. So those are the omega-9 fats, and those are the ones that are highly esteemed from olive oil. And they're not fats that we need. They're not fats that our bodies cannot produce, but they seem to not push our inflammation either direction. So we make inflammation from physical trauma, from chemical trauma, and ultimately it's orchestrated by a group of chemicals called eicosanoids. And eicosanoids are all modified fats. We have some fats that modify into pro-inflammatory eicosanoids that worsen a cycle of inflammation. And then we have fats that are made into anti-inflammatory eicosanoids that help break that cycle. And then we have some fats that they're like Switzerland. They don't get involved in the skirmish. And that's the seeming benefit of the monounsaturated fats. So to date, algae oil is among the highest source of monounsaturates. It's also amongst the lowest source of saturated fats. It's about 3% for saturated fatty acids. And saturated fats, I don't want them to be the demon either, because a certain amount of them in your diet is completely harmless. 5%, perhaps 10% of calories, but they're not health foods. And there is good data that the further you get above that window, the more they do raise risks for cardiovascular disease, for certain cancers, and for poor blood sugar regulation. So yeah, some is harmless, but they're ones you do want to keep at more of a low threshold. And I mentioned before about smoke point. So oils have different temperatures at which they start to oxidize. For algae oil, it's about 485 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's up there. That's amongst the highest smoke points you'll find for cooking oils. So this is a great one to have for general use in the kitchen. My top favorites include it and also avocado, also canola oil, grapeseed oil. These are all ones that are neutral in flavor. They've got high smoke points and they've got varying properties to them. Now, some other perks about algae oil is that it's a relatively environmentally friendly product. There's no real carbon footprint. There's not high amounts of water required to make it. So those are some benefits about that. The only thing I think of as a negative is that we don't have massive amounts of long-term population studies. There's no reason to think that it would be anything positive because of its profiles and its lack of any negative constituents to it, but we just don't have those bodies of data to point toward, where we do have those for canola or for olive oil. So only thing there. And another, just to really think about fine details, it can be a little less cost effective than others as well. So there's that. But a fun thing for options. Overall action steps, this is a nice option for a neutral oil. It's a great thing for vegans. It's nice for misting on foods. You can add that to a sprayer bottle. It does also come in a propellant-free spray form. And yeah, good to use for a lot of culinary purposes. All right, Dr. C with you. Take great care. I'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.